Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is now our third episode of the podcast, Culmination of Randomness. We are your hosts, Aeon Wraith.
And Red Shadow. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning as Wraith and I discuss whatever happens to cross our minds.
In today's episode of the Culmination podcast, Shadow and I are going to try to discuss foods, that we don't really get tired of, or on the flip side, foods that, you really have to have a craving for in order to eat it. So let's go ahead and discuss that, wherever it's going to lead us. All right, Shadow, which one do you want to start with? You want to start with foods you love or foods that you kind of need to be in the right space for?
Let's go with foods we love. Go with
Okay.
foods we love. You want to start off, or do you want me to start off?
Yeah, I could start off. This may be kind of kind of funny, but so when I was in Japan, I had the same thing pretty much every day for dinner, every day, and I did not get tired of it. And that was katsudon from Lawson's, which is a convenience store. Not the healthiest option, of course, because it's not a home cooked meal, but it's a pretty simple-ish dish. It's like a breaded pork cutlet with egg on top of rice. And man, I would eat that every single day, sometimes twice a day. I would eat it for lunch and dinner. And no matter how much I had that, man, I did not get tired of it. Like I don't know if it was the flavor profile or if maybe those are the nutrients my body was really wanting.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, foods like that I'm really into, which I call comfort foods. They're not necessarily the most aesthetically pleasing, but they taste great, and man, they hit the spot.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. See, I'm kind of like that. Not. I mean, and they don't even have to be foods I love necessarily, but like I'll get on a food kick, right? And I might eat the same thing from anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months,
hmm
and I'll just like especially when I'm going to work, I'll eat the same thing at work every day for 6 months, and then one day I'll wake up and I'll just be like, you know what? I want to try something different, and then I'll get something different and I'll eat that for 4, 5, 6 months. It just depends. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's less.
Yeah, I have been on similar binges like that, especially I know when we were going to high school and other similar things like that, where like I'd have a peanut butter and jelly every day until a day I'm like, you know what, I want a ham sandwich, and then I'd have a ham sandwich every day until I went back to peanut butter and jelly.
Like
But
I think one of the biggest things for me is I by doing that, I eliminate having to think about, oh, what am I gonna have tomorrow? Oh,
hmm
what am I gonna have tomorrow? Oh, what am I gonna have tomorrow? I've never been that type of person. Like like growing up, my mom always made different foods and my grandparents always made different foods, but like me personally, ever since I've been an adult, I just keep the same stuff in the house all the time, and then like me and Demon started cooking again recently,
oh yeah,
and literally the only things we've made is spaghetti.
I mean spaghetti is pretty fantastic.
I've made spaghetti like 7 times, and Mexican spaghetti like twice, which is still spaghetti. It's just
Yeah,
Mexican instead of Italian.
yeah, because like we have, I mean, in my household, we have some go-to staples that like if we're like, well, what do we make this weekend? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, let's do this dish. And for us, that's what we call chicken and peppers, um, which is a recipe that we found in a. Whoops, hold on just a second. I was pulling up your stream and accidentally had the volume on. All right, we found in a cookbook from Betty Crocker in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so I have looked in every Betty Crocker cookbook following, and this recipe has not been in there since. So we still have that book from the 80s. I scanned it into the computer, so we made sure to keep it. Um, but it's just like it uses you like bacon fat, I guess, to fry your chicken in. Um, and it's you put that on rice, and it's just really really good. So whenever we're like, well, I don't know what we want to eat, we do chicken and peppers. Uh,
Right.
and it's It's one of those recipes that we've done for years, and it's never like, man, I'm not enjoying this. Like sometimes I have had times where like there's a food I like. You know me, whenever we go out to restaurants or when we did back before COVID, I would always get chicken tenders, right? And there's some times where I'd be eating, I'm like, I'm just eating this to eat, I'm not really enjoying this. But I usually don't have that with, my staple recipes. Or you mentioned spaghetti. Spaghetti is one like, I'm never gonna say no to spaghetti. Well, I'll say no to spaghetti at Olive Garden because it's not the spaghetti I like. But
I have to agree. If I go to Olive Garden, I'm definitely not getting spaghetti. I've had their spaghetti. I like my spaghetti
right,
way better than I like theirs.
I just like my sauce to noodle ratio better.
Yeah. Well, see, there's a lot of different ways to make spaghetti, and I've had spaghetti made a bunch of different ways. Like, everybody makes it different.
Hmm.
Everybody likes it different. I personally put my sauce in the spaghetti like as it's cooking, like I
Mm.
put it in there as it's cooking so that it kind of heats up and cooks with the new the way I do it is in an Instapot nowadays.
Yeah.
Used to whenever I would make it on the stove, I would boil the noodles, strain the noodles, put the noodles in a bowl, and then I would warm up the pizza or the not pizza sauce, the spaghetti sauce in like a saucepan.
Yeah.
I would pour it all in the saucepan, and sometimes I would add like some extra like garlic or some extra like oregano or whatever, and I would stir it up real good and heat it up, and then I would pour it on the noodles and mix it all together
Hmm.
because that's how I like it. I like it all mixed in together. And I've seen a lot of people that'll put like just plain spaghetti noodles on a plate and just put the sauce on top of it.
I see like what we do in my family. We do it separately. Like we do the sauce in a saucepan, and then when we're getting our plate, we put the noodles on and then add the sauce because I'm a little different from the rest of my family. They like a lot of sauce. I like my noodles to just barely be coated in the sauce. Um, so I
Yeah, I
use
love spaghetti sauce.
yeah, I barely use any because I like to be able to taste the pasta along with the spaghetti sauce, and there's too much spaghetti sauce. That's all I'm tasting. So
Yeah,
I like to have my noodles just barely coated. But then again, I'm a big fan of pasta or really carbohydrates in general. Um, so I really like to be able to taste my bread. I like to be able to taste my potatoes and not just have
yeah.
them drowned out by other stuff. It's why I'm not a big fan of loaded baked potatoes because that cheese, that sour cream, that may taste good to other people, but I really like to taste my potato.
I don't even like baked potatoes. Like I just never have. I just don't get the fascination with them. Like I'll eat mashed potatoes all day long, but I
Hmm.
just don't get baked potatoes. Like I don't like breakfast potatoes all that much either.
Oh, those are
Like
spiced.
like
Yeah, they have different seasonings on there.
like
Cause
like I like potato wedges
yeah,
and I like French fries and I like chips. I like mashed potatoes.
because
That's about the extent.
mashed potatoes are simple, and I do love freshly made mashed potatoes where you take your potatoes, you boil them, and then you mix them with butter and milk
Uh huh.
and salt, of course, and they're just fantastic. I mean, occasionally, I'll go and I'll get some mashed potatoes from like, the refrigerator section in Walmart, but they rarely ever hit that same spot, right? Well, that's also because when you're cooking, you're making it to your specific tastes. Whereas a lot of these foods that you'll buy probably are
Yeah.
mass marketed.
Right.
So, just for a little bit, I want to talk about, I guess, ingredients that we really like. So, like, what's an ingredient you can add in a dish that will instantly make it better?
Hard one because I don't personally do a whole lot of cooking. But me personally, if I'm gonna add anything, a lot of people add salt.
Mm-hmm.
I never add salt to nothing,
Mm.
ever, never. But I will add all kinds of black pepper. I love black pepper. Black
Mhm.
pepper go good on everything.
Mhm.
Like if we're at a restaurant, and say we're eating breakfast, if I get eggs, I'm putting pepper on those eggs. If I
Mhm.
get sausage, I'm putting pepper on that sausage. I'll put pepper on the bacon. I'll put pepper on the biscuits and gravy. Like I can't say that I've ever put pepper on pizza
It would
or
go well, I would say though.
any Italian food really. I don't mess with Italian food.
Mm.
Like I don't add to it. I don't subtract from it. I eat it as is because it's always usually so rich and flavorful.
Mhm.
But anything else, any kind of like macaroni and cheese, black pepper. Mashed potatoes, black pepper.
Mhm.
We're having roast beef, black pepper. You know, I mean, another thing that goes really good with pretty much anything, and there for a while, especially when I was a teenager, A1 steak sauce.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna.
put
Yeah.
that. I put that on everything. I put that on chips. I put that on ice cream. I put that on like everything.
Mhm. Yeah, because I was gonna say, like for me, it's like Worcestershire sauce. Yeah. Which is very similar to steak sauce. Like if I'm making curry, I'll add that in there, or sometimes I'll just make rice. Uh, and just do a little mixture of soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce and put that on the rice, and that's my dinner for the night.
Uh huh.
For a good time, and I'd still say kind of now, just not as much. I did love ketchup. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't go and like put ketchup on things that I thought didn't deserve ketchup. Like, I've seen people dip their pizza and stuff like ranch, and that's just weird.
If
But
I dip pizza in anything, I when I was a teenager, I dipped my pizza in Thousand Island dressing.
yeah,
But
nah,
that was only because Demon was dipping his in ranch, and I
yeah,
didn't want to dip mine in ranch, so I dipped it in that. But if I dip my pizza in anything nowadays, it's marinara. Like it's
mm,
just more pizza sauce.
yeah,
Because sometimes you get a pizza and like it just doesn't have enough sauce on it.
hmm,
Like it's got too much cheese or too much condiments. And if you bite into it and it's not saucy, I'll add extra. I'll just dip it in marinara sauce and eat it like eat extra marinara sauce.
hmm. Yeah, cause like for me, like I'm a kind of a purist when it comes to most,
Hmm.
or I'm gonna say most foods really. So for pizza, I like cheese pizza, and that's about it. You know, none of the other toppings really suit me except for onion. I'll put onion on my pizza. Um, and so whenever I eat a pizza, it really depends on the dough whether I
Hmm.
like it. If the dough's got the right flavor profile, which is why Domino's had started this thing back when we were in high school. They started putting like garlic salt on their dough, and it would just ruin it for me.
Yeah. I honestly, if I get pizza from Domino's these days, I ask for it without the garlic
Yeah.
seasoning.
And so for me, I really like to have that flavor of the bread, and then same thing with my spaghetti, like a coating of sauce, but not dripping.
Hmm.
Just because I guess I like the way that those flavors mesh together. Um,
Right.
because I mean, like I love specific flavors. Like I love peanut butter, but I still try to make sure if I'm making a sandwich with peanut butter that it has an equal ratio to whatever else is in there. Whether it's
Hmm.
jelly or marshmallow fluff. Um, just because I like the mixture of flavors, I guess. It's one reason why I guess when I was younger and I used to eat like candies, I would take two different flavors and eat them at the same time.
Hmm. Interesting.
Mm. I did it a lot with Skittles. Let's see, and then oh, what were they called? Hold on, I'll get it in a second. Oh, I don't remember what they were called. They were really vibrant colored discs.
Like Necco wafers,
No, I mean I love Necco wafers, but like neon colored almost, very vibrant,
sweet tarts, are bigger.
bigger. Yeah, cause
It's
sweet,
not ringing.
cause like both the ones you mentioned are kind of pale in color, and the one I'm thinking of, I think it starts with an S. I can't think of it right now. Uh,
Sweet tarts or
mm,
that's it. That's it. That's all I got.
yeah, but those I used to like to mix those flavors together. Or Shock Tarts was another one that I used to do that too. I don't even know if they
Oh
make
yeah.
Shock Tarts anymore.
I don't know. I like Shock Tarts. You know what I didn't like? Oh, I liked them at first. I love sour Skittles.
Hmm.
But if you eat them too much, like they just literally sandpaper the roof of your mouth.
Well, the reason why I stopped eating Shock Tarts was because I had been eating them all day at this one point, and my tongue just started to bleed. And like, you know what? I probably shouldn't go to this level ever again. So I just stopped
Yeah.
eating most sour foods.
Yeah.
Now, we talked kind of about spaghetti and about making changes here or there. So when you're doing a food that you like, do you often try to change something here or there, or do you try to keep it the same?
It depends. Recently I've gotten back into like the cooking and I've been using the Instapot and stuff like that. The very first time I made spaghetti, it just wasn't it's like it just wasn't it was spaghetti, but it just tasted like noodles and spaghetti sauce.
Hmm.
So the first time I made it, I just it was noodles, spaghetti sauce, and meat. The second time I made it, I changed things up a little bit, and I looked up a different recipe online, and I basically did meat, ground beef, noodles, uh, spaghetti sauce, and I used the meat spaghetti sauce,
Mm.
and then I added a can of diced tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Well, the next time I made it, that was better. It was a little more hearty, a little more thick. But I was like, I want something different. So the next time, I was like, well, garlic goes really good with Italian food. I was like, I got garlic diced tomatoes instead of the regular diced tomatoes. And I tried those. And it was a little better, but it still wasn't quite right. And the last time I made it, they had they had fire or oven roasted garlic diced tomatoes,
Hmm.
and I bought those and I put those in there. And then I also did a different sauce. Instead of doing a meat sauce, I did like a Italian herb sauce
Hmm. Yeah.
instead. And oh man, it was just so good. It was so much better
Hmm.
because I already had meat in it. There was no need for
Right.
me to get meat flavored sauce. Like adding in the extra like flavorings from the Italian seasoned sauce was just so much better.
Hmm. Yeah, 'cause I usually go for that, that Italian herb and garlic sauce, um, rather than meat. Well, I'm not a big fan of meat, but rather than meat sauce, my brothers are a very big fan of meat sauce. And if they have a choice, they'll do that, but they'll usually still branch out to do like different like Italian sausage sauce or like different types of meat.
Hmm.
Um, but one thing I'll say, I don't know if you ever do this. Do you put salt in with your noodles?
I usually don't add salt to anything, like I said before,
Hmm.
including like if I'm cooking, unless the recipe specifically calls for salt in some form or fashion, I do not put salt in it.
Mm.
Like I've just never liked the taste of salt. Now, like there are specific things I none of them come to mind, but like sometimes when you're making something, it might call for a teaspoon of salt or something like that, and I'll put that in there because it calls for it.
Hmm.
But if it doesn't call for it, I don't usually add it.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, because generally, at least when I make noodles, I like to put in a sprinkling of salt into the water, before I boil them. Um,
Yeah. Well, it also helps your. Now I've done that before. Whenever I cooked on the stove, I
yeah,
put salt in the water because it lowers the boiling temperature.
yeah, man. We were talking about pizza, and I said I was kind of a purist. What about you? What when you think of pizza, what do you think of?
Man, I'll eat any type of pizza. I don't care what's on it. Like I love pizza, all kinds of pizza. Uh, Me personally, I'll eat cheese pizza, like if that's the only pizza that's available.
Hmm.
But I like hearty pizza. Like I
Okay.
like it at least at least one or two meats on it. Like if I go somewhere and I order a pizza, like I went to I don't go there very often, but I went to a pizza place downtown where we live, and I don't. It's called Rockies, but
Yeah.
I don't go there very often. But when I went there the other day, or I called an order in, and I was like, well, I asked them if they had a specific type of pizza, and they were like, no. And I was like, well, can I just get a large, deep dish with double pepperoni? Because I didn't like any of their combinations. Like
Yeah.
they didn't have any normal combinations. They had like you could get pepperoni, sausage, and green peppers,
Oh yeah.
or you could get like onions, mushrooms, and sausage. And I was just like, it was just weird combinations of three different toppings. But no, I love some like meat lovers pizza or like supreme pizza if it's got all the different stuff on it.
Hmm.
Domino's has got a deluxe supreme that's really good. It's got like pepperoni, sausage, and hamburger, and then it's also got like green peppers, onions, mushrooms, black olives. It's really good. Um, I like taco pizza, like not the taco pizza that because I've had two different types of taco pizza. I've had one that's like a orangish yellow and it's got like just taco seasonings on it.
Hmm.
But I've also had another one that's like taco pizza. It's got salsa as the pizza sauce,
Is
and
this
then it's got
is this the one that we
like
had you had
lettuce
at
and
like
cheese.
CC's or whatever? You'd
Yes,
always order. Hmm.
yes, man. I've ordered a large of that and ate the whole pizza by myself.
Mm.
Like it's just it's phenomenal to me. But then off the wall pizzas too. Larry's
Yeah.
has a honey mustard chicken pizza.
Hmm.
It's amazing. Like the first time I ever heard about it, I was like, yeah, this pizza's not gonna be that great. And then I ate it and I was like, well, heck yeah, it's great. I've had I'm not really a fan of dessert pizzas,
Mm. I
but
love dessert pizzas. Yeah.
that's just because I'm not a dessert. I don't eat dessert. Like
Mm.
people see me and they're like, "Oh man, this guy loves his desserts." I really don't. I hate dessert. Like
Mm.
I don't really eat cookies. I don't really eat cake. I don't eat I mean ice cream every once in a while, but I kind of have to be in the mood for ice cream.
Mm.
Like I just don't eat it very often. I just don't eat the only sweet that I can think of that I almost have a borderline addiction with it. If I buy a bag of gummy worms,
Oh
the
yeah.
the
Hmm.
Torley gummy worms or whatever,
Hmm.
I'll sit there and eat the whole bag. I just can't stop myself. Like I'll just sit there and eat the whole bag. Like I'll eat them until I get sick. So every time I buy them, I buy a small bag because I know that I'm gonna eat that whole bag. But
I
going back
yeah.
to pizza, I mean, breakfast pizza,
Mm.
people knock it all the time, but there is I don't know if you've ever had it, Hunt's Brothers Pizza from gas
Mm-mm.
stations.
No, I've not.
That pizza is so amazing. When we were in high school, when this was kind of like in the in between time, like you were with me sometimes when I went, but not all the time. When I would drive up, like when we'd have a band thing,
Oh yeah.
like I would drive up to the Shell station just right up the road from the school, and I would get like two slices of Hunt's Brothers pizza and like a Pepsi, and just drive back to the school and eat it in my truck.
Hmm.
But like it is so good, and like you get a quarter of the pizza. Like it's called a hunk of pizza. That's what
Yeah.
they sell it as. But they have some breakfast pizza that's amazing. It's got like eggs and sausage and all kinds of stuff on it.
Well, it's
It's
like
really good.
a pizza that I thought I wasn't going to like that I ended up liking a lot is barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
Because when I first, I'm like, I'm not gonna like that very much. I'm like, I actually did. Well, that's because I think, when you're first thinking of pizza, you think of your pizza sauce. But some of these other pizzas, like barbecue chicken pizza, or you were talking about, your taco pizza, that use a different sauce, you know, but it's still kind of on pizza dough can be really good because you don't like dessert pizzas, but I love. Speaking of CC's, that apple
Apple.
dessert, yeah, that apple dessert
Yeah.
pizza.
Nick or Demon loves that too.
Yeah, and then again, I love desserts, but just when you change or do like a riff on the style, like because like when you have pizza, with cheese and marinara sauce, and you have that age old question, well, what is pizza? Same thing as like, well, what is a sandwich? Um, because I've heard other people argue that burritos are a sandwich.
I've never heard burritos are a sandwich. I've heard hot dogs are just an open face sandwich.
Hmm. But when you take some of those ideas and you incorporate them in a way that works, like your taco pizza and some of these dessert pizzas, it can end up being much better than you think it's going to be.
Yeah. It's kind of
Uh,
like people call boneless chicken wings, boneless wings,
yeah.
fancy chicken nuggets,
Oh
fancy
yeah.
nuggets.
Oh, that was me.
Well, I've heard that. I've heard that tons of places.
Mm,
Tons of places. A lot of people call it that. I've heard Pop Tarts called ravioli, fruit
I've
ravioli.
I've not heard that one. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, because I guess when it comes to describing foods, I mean, you try to describe it in a way that you are familiar with. You know,
Right.
um, because in Japanese, when you have don at the end of a dish, it always just means it's on rice, and so you have thousands of these dishes that just end with don. And I don't know. One thing about English is we have a lot of different descriptive words, but I would say we don't have quite as many nouns, maybe, as other languages. Like, I don't know. Like, pizza is pizza rather than having like okay, you remember back in school when everyone's like talking about the Inuits from Alaska and how they had like 34 words for snow for the different types and we just have snow.
Hmm.
It's something
Yeah.
similar to that. Where it's like we have areas that English could be incredibly descriptive in and some areas that it's really not. And I would say quite often with food it's not. I mean, just look at the dish I was talking about earlier, chicken and peppers. That could mean anything, you know. But I mean, it's a very specific recipe, but we don't talk about any of the other stuff that goes in there. It's just chicken and peppers.
Yeah.
Um, and this is bell peppers, but you could be thinking it's like habanero or something. And so if you're trying, a lot of times if you're trying to recreate a dish based on the name, you are not going to properly recreate that dish.
I mean, take for example, we've been talking about spaghetti. If I just said I ate spaghetti and you had never say you were from another country and you never heard of
Hmm.
spaghetti before, it doesn't even give you any type of like the only thing you might know is if you know anything about noodles and you know that spaghetti is a type of noodle and now
Hmm.
you got noodles. That's it. Like,
It's funny. I'm gonna bring up Game Grumps for a second here because I was watching a video uh, last week of some of their animateds, and he goes on this rant about macaroni and cheese and starts listing all the different types of macaroni and cheese. And I always get so frustrated at that video because when he's describing macaroni and cheese, he's just saying noodles and cheese, whereas macaroni is a type of noodle.
yeah. But I've seen tons of people do it with shells, like
Yeah.
shells and cheese, or
Hmm.
spaghetti and cheese. I mean,
Right.
you can make mac and cheese with spaghetti noodles.
Hmm.
It it just doesn't
And so
seem
that's
like it doesn't
that's
sound right. But
yeah, that's the part that gets kind of confusing, to someone who's not, familiar with, I would say maybe American culture or just what we eat. If you're like, if someone said, I'm gonna bring you macaroni and cheese, and they brought you some, chicken Alfredo, you'd be very confused. Or like, I have a specific example actually. One time, my brother and I went to Cheddar's, and he got the pasta salad. So
mhm.
when I say pasta salad, what do you think of?
When I think of pasta salad, I think of multicolored pasta, pepperoni, black olives, Italian dressing, cold.
Mhm. So here's what we got, and my brother was flabbergasted. They brought him a salad with pasta in it.
Like a leafy green salad with
Yes, with
pasta.
pasta in it. And so he was just like, "What?"
What kind of pasta was in it?
Um,
Like
just
rigatoni or
yeah,
like
yeah,
some
just like
just
rigatoni, like not even sauced, just like regular pasta. And so he was just flabbergasted. He was staring at it for like 10 minutes. He's like, "I'm so confused."
I would be confused. I've only eaten there one time,
Hmm.
and I got because it was highly. I don't want to say it was thrust upon me, but it was kind of thrust upon me. I got some kind of donut sandwich type of
The Monte
thing with
Cristo, yeah,
some.
I thrust that upon you.
It wasn't just you. There was a lot of people there,
Yeah.
and I have to say it was not a bad sandwich, but it wasn't a great sandwich either. I mean, the way that you guys were talking about it, this was like the end all be all of sandwiches, and I was like,
Well, that also comes back to the fact that you don't like sweets, right?
yeah,
And the Monte Cristo is heavily based on the fact that it's a sweet sandwich. You know, you have the donut, you have the raspberry preserves. So if you're not a fan of sweets, you're really probably not gonna like it. I mean, you'll eat it
right,
because it's got meat in it and stuff, but unless you like that flavor profile, you know.
right.
Yeah, because I love sweet things. You know, it's probably one of my downfalls is just sweet things. Like I love fudge. Uh, you know, it's one of the few things I'm actually happy to make is like bakery stuff. But and this is where I differ both from you and my brother. I don't like that meaty flavor. So whenever I'm eating meat, I like it to not taste like meat.
What
Uh,
it like used to like when I got steak, talking about meat, like
uh-huh.
pure meat. When most people think about pure meat, they think of a steak. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or like maybe a pork chop or something like that. But when I eat steak, I would always put A1 sauce on.
Hmm.
But like that was just because I loved A1 sauce. Well,
Right.
I've had steaks without A1 sauce, and like they were always all right, but they weren't great. Until I went to Longhorn and I got this steak, and it is such a good steak. And it's not flavor, it's not like sauced, it's just got like a rub, or maybe like a
Yeah.
it's cooked, but it's black pepper.
Hmm.
And that steak is so good just by itself.
Hmm.
Like when I put it in my mouth, like literally, like it is like the best taste in the world. I can just sit there and I just feel like all is right with the world as I eat this steak. Of course, once it's gone, the harsh reality of
Hmm.
sets back in. But
Yeah.
for that 15-20 minutes that it takes me to eat that steak, because I savor every bite,
Hmm.
it just seems like everything is right in the world.
Nah, and I'm the exact opposite. When I'm eating steak or any kind of just like plain meat, uh, I count every second that I am eating that.
Yeah.
'Cause I actually have an anecdote of when I was younger. My aunt had made a steak, for everyone at the time, and like I just didn't touch it, because like I'm not eating that. And this was, back in the 90s now. Uh, so it was you're going to eat that whether you like it or not. And so I remember I had to cut a piece, put it in my mouth with milk, because the milk would kind of like cover up the taste.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I ate that whole thing because I just did not like the taste of meat. And like I'll be honest, I still kind of don't. Like if I get a dish that has meat, it's a very meaty flavor. I'm not going to be a
Mm-hmm.
very big fan of it.
Yeah.
So like beef stew. I love the flavor of the stew, but I would rather just not have the meat.
I can get behind some beef stew. I do like that.
I don't know, but that's just me. That's we're talking about. Our preferences. I just don't prefer the
Yeah.
taste of meat. Um, I'm
No, I
much
get it.
I'm much more of a sweets guy. I love fruit. You know,
Mhm.
and so I think that's just down to the way my taste buds are. Like actually like genetically. I think I just
Right.
have my taste buds are more in line of tasting sugars than they are with
Right.
tasting. I guess it'd be umami if for meats and stuff. Because you're tasting the fat and all the other stuff for that, which is more of an umami flavor than anything else. So we've talked about foods that we don't get tired of. I guess let's talk about foods that you have a craving for every once in a while, but you don't eat it very often. And
If I had one that I could say right off the bat that I love it when I want it,
mm-hmm,
and but I don't even think about it. If I don't want it, I don't even think about it. And
mm-hmm,
that's pancakes.
okay,
When I get the craving for pancakes, like I love a good short stack,
mm-hmm,
3 or 4 pancakes. I love to put peanut butter on them.
okay,
But if I don't have peanut butter available, I mean, I can just use syrup. But I prefer if I had my perfect short stack, it'd be 4 pancakes, peanut butter, a little bit of syrup, just right over the top
mm-hmm,
to kind of go with the peanut butter flavor.
yeah,
Best flavor in the world. But I have to be in the mood for it because any other time, if I'm not in the mood for it and somebody says pancakes, I'm like, ugh, I don't want no pancakes
mm-hmm,
because it's just one of those things that I've always, I like, I have to be in the mood for it.
mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of one that I'm similar because part of it is like SpaghettiOs for me, or at least
Uh
from
huh.
The Kroger brand SpaghettiOs. Is like when I'm feeling SpaghettiOs, man, I will eat that. But then there's days I'll look at it and I'm like, no, no, anything but that.
Yeah.
Another thing that's I know I just went on that tangent about how I don't like meat, but another one that like every so often I'll get a craving for is those mouth bite burgers or whatever, big mouth bites from Chili's.
Hmm.
Um, and that's like one of the few times where I'll eat a hamburger and actually enjoy it. But I don't get that very often.
Right.
And
Well,
I
I
don't.
mean, it's a smaller. I mean, the patties on those are real thin, and it's
Mhm,
not like you're not eating a mouthful of burger. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, because I sometimes you get that random craving for
Hmm.
something where like I don't know if it's I'm deprived of protein or whatever. I'm like I need something like that right now.
Yeah. Pancakes is the biggest one for me, but I really can't. I was trying to think of another one that I get a craving for every once in a while, and I just can't.
I'm kind of thinking cereal actually now that I think about it.
I don't.
Because
I don't eat cereal. I mean, a Raisin Bran.
yeah, well, because like you know I don't eat cereal very often, but then when I do, or when I feel like I want cereal, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's just sitting in my cabinet and like I'll eat something else for breakfast.
Like I love Raisin Bran. Heck, I love just plain bran flakes.
Hmm.
I like if I get like I like shredded mini wheats, but I don't like them frosted. I like them just
Oh, okay.
shredded wheat.
Hmm.
Like
Oh,
it
well, I
goes
mean, it
back to
makes
the
sense. Yeah,
it
you don't
goes
like
back to the
sugar. Yeah.
I don't like the sweet stuff. So
Right.
like my son is always wanting to get all these cereals that are like sugar cereals, and I'm
Yeah.
just like the other day, like I kind of had a cravings for cereal, but it was like that doesn't happen very often. I was like, I really want some cereal. But I think more than anything, it was I wanted the milk, but I don't like to
Ah.
drink. I don't like milk by itself.
Okay.
And so like I was like, well, I could eat some cereal, and he had some cereal in the cabinet. But all he had was like all these sugary cereals, and I got me a small bowl, and I took like 3 bites, and I was like, yeah, no, this is not. No, I threw it away. I
uh,
just couldn't eat it. It was just
yeah.
too sweet. Because like if I eat cereal, it's got to be something like something. Like even like Raisin Bran is all right, but raisins to me aren't like super sweet.
No.
I mean, they are
Yeah.
technically a fruit ish, maybe. Are
They're
they
fruit.
fruit?
They're dehydrated fruits.
Okay.
Because yeah, they're raisins are grapes that have been dehydrated.
They're legumes.
They are not legumes.
They're not.
No.
What is a legume?
A
Why do I know that word?
peanuts. a
Peanuts a legume?
peanuts are a legume.
What's a kumquat?
A kumquat is a fruit. It's similar to not really. It's kind of similar to like a plum or orange, kind of like that thing. I think it's a stone fruit. Yeah, it's more like a plum. It's a stone fruit.
What about a suffocated kumquat?
I've not heard of that.
It's from Dodgeball.
Dude, I haven't seen that movie in 10 years.
He's like, would you like a this? Would you like a that? The suffocated kumquat, perhaps? It's just like a kumquat that's been like squished down, and it's like in a vacuum sealed little thing.
Oh,
It's quote unquote
crap. I have to look now. Uh, I can see it in my head, but I can't see the inside of it. I need to see what kind of fruit a kumquat
you can
is.
see the platter. You can see the platter, but you can't see inside of it. It's like
Yeah.
this little orange looking thing. Oh man. Well, what about we talked about foods we loved, and we've talked about kind
Mm.
of one-off foods. Uh, real quick before we wrap this up for today, what about, is there any foods that you absolutely loathe, like you will not eat it? If somebody offered you like $1,000, you would not eat this food.
Yeah. Um. So I love sweets. I hate coconut.
Oh yeah,
Yes, I hate coconut.
but coconut's not sweet.
I know, but a lot of times, because I mean, you're not a big sweets person, but you'll if you go and look at a lot of the different sweets, sometimes people will try to
Hmm.
class it up by putting coconut on it. Like
Oh,
coconut flakes on top, and that will completely ruin it for me.
I love coconut. In fact, if there was one sweet, now that you said coconut, it came to mind. That could go under a craving, and it is technically a sweet, I guess.
You talk about
It
snowballs.
coconut, no, coconut cream pie.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like,
Hmm.
well, it's more like a pudding than a pie, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the one I get, I always get it from Walmart, and it's like in a little tiny cup. It's
Hmm.
got just a little bit of graham cracker crust in the very very bottom, but not like a pie. And then it's got like the coconut cream or whatever, and then it's got like coconut on top of it.
Hmm.
Every once in a while, I get a craving for that, and oh, it is so good.
But yeah, so for me, there's coconut and then cilantro. I hate cilantro, but then yeah, that's cilantro is one of those things you either hate or you love. Um,
Um,
where like, or okay, I have a better example actually than those. Seaweed. So
I,
when
fresh seaweed, but
n
I've had like salted dried seaweed.
any
It
kind of
was
seaweed for
awful.
me. So like
It was awful.
I went to Japan and sushi is pretty big there,
Hmm.
and so is seaweed. So like seaweed, they'll have on all of their different rice balls that you'll get in the store, and I cannot do it. Like as soon as I taste seaweed, I start to gag, and so that's one
Hmm.
thing I cannot eat, and it saddens me that there's a big portion of a culture I love that I can't eat that food type
Right.
because I hate that particular ingredient and that I've had dishes I love. I was talking about katsudon earlier. I went to a restaurant once where they had little bits of shredded seaweed in the katsudon, and I could not eat it. I was like, this is disgusting. What about you?
It just has to deal with the way it's prepared and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, I personally, I've been thinking about it ever since I said it. I can't think of a single food that I like. I put the stipulation in for like the $1,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't even think. I can't think of a single food that I wouldn't at least attempt to eat if money were on the line.
If
Like
money were on the line, yeah. Well, I mean,
there are
yeah.
some foods that I don't like. Like Like I'm not a real big fan of like black licorice. It's
Okay.
technically a candy, but it's not
Yeah.
as sweet.
Hmm.
But like I could eat it if I had to. Like it's not that I wouldn't gag or vomit or
Hmm.
anything like that. Um like I was just trying to think, but I just can't. I can't really think of a food that I mean, I really don't like Brussels sprouts,
Hmm.
and but to be honest, I mean that really boils down to how they're cooked because I've had Brussels sprouts that I did like.
Hmm.
It just it all boils down to how it's cooked and or how it's prepared, and stuff like that. But no, I can't. Maybe I could think of one. I mean, if we lived in another country, there's no way that you could pay me enough money to eat bugs. Like,
Hmm.
I guess I could probably eat them if I didn't know that I was eating them.
Hmm.
Like, because people say, oh, you eat bugs all the time, like whenever you're eating this or when you're eating that, because they crawl around in it. I mean, yeah, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like it, those chocolate crickets and like stuff like that. Like I could never bring myself to do that intentionally.
Right.
Um, I guess another one now that I'm really thinking about it, and I said that mussels, like
Okay.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
seafood, like clam, not. I
Hmm.
don't know that I've ever had clams, but I had mussels at Olive Garden one time,
Ooh.
and to be honest, it tasted like a non-chewable lump of lake water.
Well, yeah, because like from what I
It didn't make me sick or anything, but I will never eat that again.
right, same thing. Like I'll never eat escargot.
Yeah,
Uh,
no,
where
no.
I mean
Yeah, I
like
remember. I
people. I mean
remember.
people talk about like with mussels and escargot, the way you're supposed to make them is drown them in that sauce because essentially you're just eating the sauce. And then you swallow whatever mussels or snails are in there whole. But nah, I'm good.
Nah. Yeah, I'm good too, cause like to me, like if I can't chew it, then why am I eating it?
Well, yeah, because I mean I eat to enjoy. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that's like I eat for sustenance alone.
All right, outside of the food realm, just anything that you consume or partake of, is there anything that as soon as you touch it to your lips, you have to that you just it's gone?
Uh, yes. Apple juice.
Apple juice?
Apple juice.
I, I knew it was gonna be a drink because mine's a drink.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about apple juice, but like I'll pour a glass, like I'll pour it right there, and I'll take a sip, and my glass is gone, and it's like
It's like,
I just poured
uh,
this. where I don't know why, but for apple juice, like I can drink that whole gallon in one sitting. I don't know what it does to my stomach that I can take in that much fluid, but yeah, apple juice, man, it's just gone.
for me, and this is probably this would probably I guess this is one of the other only things besides gummy worms. It's the only other sweet thing that I like.
Mhm.
That's chocolate milk.
Yeah.
I can't like if I buy a half gallon of chocolate milk. Because I never buy a gallon because the gallon is 1%, and
Yeah.
I don't like the taste of it.
Yeah.
But if it's 2% or higher, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like it's gone. There's no way that gallon is lasting a whole day. Now I might not drink the whole like half gallon in one sitting,
Mhm.
but if I pour a cup, I'll just sit there and I'll just drink the whole cup.
Mhm.
I just can't stop myself.
Eh,
Yoo-hoo is like that. Well, I mean it's a chocolate drink,
yeah.
but like if I take a sip of Yoo-hoo, it's gone.
Mm.
Like my son gets like the Yoo-hoo cans all the time,
Yeah.
and like every once in a while I'll be like, you know what, I'll get one of them, and I'll get one, and like I can't even walk to my room with it. It'll be gone before I get back here.
Mhm.
I usually just drink it in the kitchen and then walk back to my room.
Yeah. But usually for like things I finish before I even realize I finished them, they're almost always
Hmm.
drinks.
Yeah.
Then again, I just like to drink. You know,
Hmm.
drinks I really do like. Then again, I like sweets and stuff, so I like sweeter drinks. But
Yeah.
yeah, so apple juice or really like most kind of juices I can down pretty quickly, but apple juice for some reason it's like I have a black hole in my stomach.
You're like, I have to consume,
Yeah.
consume. All right. Well, that kind of wraps it up. Unless you have any, if you have any other things that you want to mention or bring up this morning.
Not this morning. So
All right.
yeah, I guess you know we this has been our podcast this morning, Culmination of Randomness. This was episode 3 again. Uh, I'm Aeon Wraith, and my co-host here, Red Shadow,
Red
was
Shadow.
yeah was also participating quite a lot, which I would hope so. Otherwise, it would just be talking to myself. Um, but thanks for coming. We'll be doing this
Uh,
again. Oh, sorry, you have something you want to add?
what one last thing. This is not to do with this morning's podcast, but future podcasts.
Uh huh.
This will be the last Sunday that I'm on night shift.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Um, and so next Sunday it will be the normal schedule. We'll go live around 8:15, between 8:15 and 8:30. We'll go live for the fourth episode of the Culmination of Randomness podcast,
Hmm.
and then the Sunday after that, I will be at work during the normal schedule time.
Yes,
So
we
we
might
will.
just shift it 12
We're
hours, but we'll see.
we're gonna discuss it, and maybe you guys can give us some feedback. We'll either shift it to a night stream, so shift it 12 hours straight
Hmm.
down, 8:15 to 8:30 in the evening. But I'm leaning more towards shifting it one day
Okay.
forward and doing it on that Monday at
Okay.
8:15. But like I said, we'll discuss that off stream. We just wanted to go ahead and give you, if you are, watching, if you are following the podcast, we wanted to let you know about that future little speed bump in our scheduling. So, with that, I'm done. I'm Red Shadow.
I'm Aeon Wraith, and we'll both be uploading this to our YouTube channels. You have Red Shadows, which is Mr. Red Shadow 212, and you have mine, which is Aeon Wraith. Um, so you can go and if you ever miss a podcast, I have my test podcast on there as well, but Shadow only has the official ones. But if you miss a podcast, they'll be there. So if you can't catch the stream, don't be as worried. So thanks for joining, and we will see you next time.